Welcome to Street Scene Power Hour. I'm Greg Roten, and we have our host, number 36, according to the video of Rick Guerrera. So we'll just call you 36.
Number 36.
And number 1 is Larry Ward, our other co-host here. And we got special guests. We have got Norm Kern.
Hello.
And we've
Welcome,
got
Norm.
The infamous Rich Morgan with us too to talk about whatever we want to talk about.
That's what I was wondering.
Who let him on this show, huh?
That would be you, because if you see once you look at the Facebook post I will be posting, and if you're connecting with the Facebook post on the podcast, you'll see why Rich is here, because there will be a picture of you and Rich. So that is the reason why. And
so I don't have to say anything. I'm just
show your pretty face. That's
Rich,
all.
you're there for looks. That's all we're there. You're there for your voice for the podcast.
Oh, okay. I've got my voice.
Okay, give us your broadcaster voice, Rich. Broadcasting.
Rich Morgan with the weather.
Oh, okay. See, well, if you're following it, so.
And
By the way, the weather's going to be perfect for Rick in downtown Sharon for the Father's Day car show. And I'm looking forward to being there myself with my wife. 72 is the high.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dry, sunny day. Should be great.
Great. Now, don't forget, Rich, when you come down, you bring me birthday presents. That's my 69th
That's
birthday.
right.
Bring me
A few
presents.
years ago, you invited us to your party. And we couldn't.
Yeah.
So you're not having a party this year?
No, Beth, I don't think so. I don't know. Beth, I never know.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a surprise.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any problems with the weather, you just email Rich Morgan. I'll give you his email directly, so you can email at him. We do want to promote the Father's Day car show this Sunday, and if you're listening after, you've missed it. So don't miss it.
It's every Father's Day.
It's on Father's Day. Father's Day car show, Father's Day. Go figure. I guess that's when it is. So it's on Father's Day, downtown Sharon. Hours, Rick.
Well, if you're going to pre-register, if you're going to register a car, get there at 9:00, and some guys get there like 7:00. So, but the public's welcome noon to 4. So
noon to 4.
Noon to 4.
It is.
Doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference how sunny it is, because you're walking between the buildings in downtown Sharon, so it is comfortable.
Sure, we had 600 cars there last year, over 600. So
okay.
What's the feature car?
Feature car is a 1969 Barracuda owned by Frank Draskovic. It's the first year for it's not a Barracuda. I'm sorry. It's a Cuda. It's the first year for the Cuda.
Yeah, don't confuse those, because we'll have to explain why they're called Barracuda, and the later ones are called Cuda. And they had the Barracuda. I'm not going to go into that, because if you want to do that, it's what they call Google. And Google it. So we won't explain that difference, but Larry,
GTS.
We also I want to mention the Brothers of Power car show that is on June 25th. We've really pushed the Brothers of Power car show. They were guests a few podcasts back. They are really trying to get this car show moving. It's at East High School up in Youngstown. And it looks like they're going to have a good turnout. So get to this show. They've got family fun for everyone. Did that rhyme too? I didn't get paid to do that one.
They were fun to have on the show too.
They were great. Yeah. Make sure you get out there.
We were planning on doing the show this year, recording the show for another episode, but someone made different plans. And,
we were playing on the Father's Day show, and Rick wouldn't let me. So let's just leave it at that. No, I'm going on vacation. I haven't had a vacation in years, so we are actually going away on vacation. The first time in 10 years. So
congratulations.
Usually we stay home, and I drive my family crazy, which is my goal in life, is to drive them nuts. So this year I'm going to drive them nuts in Outer Banks. So I'll do that.
Just close your eyes every time you have to fill up the tank.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. We're taking the big SUV, and it's I'm
going to eat into your retirement fund.
Well, I already dipped into my 401k to take a loan out for it, so we'll just deal with that. Norm, what? Norm, Larry, why don't you take it away? We'll talk about what Star. Is that what you want to talk about?
I think so. Well, I'd like to welcome Norm Kern, Vice President of the Motorcycle Sport Touring Association. Norm is a guy that has many talents, some video. He also writes an article every month for what magazine again, Norm?
Thunder Roads, Ohio.
Thunder Roads, Derek's magazine, right?
Derek Smith, yes.
With that. And Norm is sort of like most of the time a route master, being able to decipher tracks, putting them in and out of GPSs and that. So I asked Norm to stop by. And first of all, let's talk about STAR, S-T-A-R.
Okay.
Acronym for what?
Okay, it's Motorcycle Sport Touring Association, MSTA, and STAR is an acronym for Sport Touring Association Rendezvous. And basically, it's our once-a-year national rally. And it's a lot like our regional rallies, with the additional fact that it's being our national event. We have it in a different location every year, and we have it's the only time of the year that our whole club has a general meeting, and we have social activities and of course riding.
And this year, STAR is going to be located in Cape Girardeau at the Drury Hotel. And all of the, most all events that happen with the MSTA are what we call hub and spoke, where there'll be a hotel, which is the central location. And then daily, you go out and either you find some routes or you ride pre-described routes that are given to you in that. And then you come back in the evening to socialize, dinner, maybe win a motorcycle, stuff like that. So this year, I think in Cape Girardeau at the Drury, I hear really good things about the hotel. Can you tell us about that, Norm?
Yeah, the Drury Inn and Suites is our host hotel. It's located. Cape Girardeau happens to be the national headquarters, the corporate headquarters of Drury Hotels. So this particular hotel, which is just about across the street from their corporate headquarters, is maintained to a very high standard, to say the least, since it's their flagship property. And they have nice rooms, beautiful meeting and banquet center, and full hot breakfast buffet every day. And with your room, you get a card that is good for 2 complimentary drinks per day, including beer and wine at their serving area off the lobby that's also used for breakfast. Another great feature is what they call kickbacks. And Pat McGavero and I visited the hotel early this spring when it was relatively cold. And kickbacks goes from, I think it's 5:30 to 7 p.m. And it's held in the dining area, where they also serve breakfast. And what Kickbacks does, they have all kinds of food and snack items. They usually, and it's a rotating menu, they usually have some kind of a hot meat slider type of sandwich available. They'll have nachos, they'll have loaded potato skins, they'll have popcorn, potato chips, and other kinds of snacks. They have an open soda fountain, that's self-service, fountain drinks, Coke and all that stuff.
That'd be it for me. It's
Yep.
my favorite.
And all this stuff is free. And of course, they also have the little mini bar there where you can get up to 2 free complimentary drinks with the card from your room. And the drinks can, the drinks can be beer or wine. They have a wide variety of stuff, and it's the nicest hotel feature that I've experienced. And I think this hotel is probably the best venue that we've ever had as far as lodging for a Star event.
Norm, where's Cape Girardeau at?
It is
What state?
it's about 95 miles southeast of St. Louis
Missouri. Okay.
on the Mississippi River.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It's probably been maybe 15 or 20 years since I've been there. Excuse me. The last time I was there, I was at the Falling Leaf Rally, which was a BMW rally. Its claim to fame was they'd take a big 100-pound animal, they'd literally put dynamite under it, and they blow it blows the air. It's the freakiest optical illusion. You think when it's coming down, it's going to hit you, but it's been quite a while. So, Norm, a lot of people, when they think about Cape Girardeau or in and around that area in Missouri, they don't often think that the roads would be very good to ride, that they would be flat, not much curves.
Mhm.
But I think that you guys have laid out some routes that are going to show us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, a lot of the, we used to have an annual rally there, which was called Friends of Freddie. And Freddie was Fred Ziegler, who was at the time president of our club. And he put on this rally for the members. And he lives nearby in Illinois. And so he knows all the roads, and he laid out a lot of good routes. And I went to Friends of Freddie's once and rode the roads. And the roads in southeastern Missouri are very interesting. It's kind of a rolling countryside. They do have some forests and things, but most of the terrain is kind of a rolling, small hills, and the roads have lots of curves, not real tight twisties typically, but lots of fast sweepers. And it's a really fun area to ride on a good sport bike.
I got a question for you. You take now any highways that on that, or just it's all just side roads, back roads? Yeah, cater to somebody that doesn't ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to, when you're laying out routes, basically, after you scout all the roads, you find the ones that are the most fun to ride, and then you figure out how to string as many of those together as possible into a single route. So, if you follow things like the Dakar Rally, you've heard of what they call a liaison stage. Sometimes you have to ride some highway, a liaison stage to get to the next good, fun, curvy, twisty section.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, Norm, there was nothing good and fun on the trip down. I mean, when you're going 71, over to 270, down to 70, which is always a mess, over to 65 to bypass there. We never even made it. I made it to 465 because they had to find the BMW shop. And we do, guys that do a lot of long distance, I looked it up and it said it was 23 or 27 miles. And I said, oh, I'm going to go and I'll be back before I blink my eye. Well, I didn't realize there was like traffic jam after traffic jam, bumper to bumper.
Ouch.
I mean, just a mess, coming down. I don't know what was going on at 71, but I've got an air-cooled motor. I'm not sitting in that traffic. And I went out and I had Kenny follow. I bet we did 14 miles. Just passing everybody on the outside on the the safety thing there.
Your hand broke
on their
pushing
shoulder.
the clutch in and all that.
No,
all that.
no, up about 40 mile an hour. By the time the truckers sometimes the truckers will cut you off because they don't like you doing that.
Yeah.
Go fast enough, they are not always looking in their rearview mirror, and then by the time they see you, it's a little late for them to, But I can tell you, I mean, there was one time coming back from Daytona. In a driving rainstorm right out of Daytona, and I must have split the lanes. I bet 9 miles. It was incredible how yeah, but if you had a water-cooled bike, that'd be a little bit different. But since it's air-cooled, it's a lot rougher.
Not much air movement there to try to cool the cylinders off with that.
Vehicles, and then you can hear the motor has a certain little sound to it when it's starting to get hotter, and you can hear the ticking. So I'll either shut it off or I'll just say, hey, I'm going to go around. And I went around with the tire right up and went past the sheriff that was parked there. I thought he'd say something, but I kept pointing to the tire in the rear, so I'm pretty sure they could figure it out, but who knows?
He's probably like, what's wrong with that guy? I mean, he's carrying his tire.
How quickly can we catch that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Hold on, Norm. We're going to get back to you here in a second, and we're going to move on to, well, everybody knows Rich Morgan. So,
Ooh.
you know, and I have to say, Rich, you know, it's hard to stump me and Rick in a lot of things. But the last, I mean, Rick knows what I'm going to talk about. We did an interview. We were at the Rooster Rally. Rich Morgan co-hosted. And I don't know if I was laughing more at Rich getting into the trunk of this guy's car or Rick's face, like, oh my God. So there's never any wow. There's always a wow factor with Rich Morgan co-hosting a show. So.
Well, there was no sign on the inside of that trunk that said "Do not touch."
Yeah,
I figured I was safe. Usually, the "Do not touch" is on the outside.
they didn't mean for your soles of your feet. You know,
I took my shoes off, didn't I?
That was a big trunk too. What was that? A 59, 60 Chevy Impala?
It was a 60 Chevy. Yeah.
Yeah.
60 Chevy Bel Air.
It was used a lot in this area for, to hide bodies, I believe.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's all I was trying
Back
to
in the
show.
70s in Youngstown. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah. You know, I want to get back to, you know, Rich, you've got a liking and love of cars deep inside your soul. And I know that because of the, you know, when you were at WKBN for years, you had your car segments with Carl Slagle and a lot of that. And, you know, go back in history of really what got you interested in a little bit of that.
I think it was the stories. Rick Guerrera set me up with a story each year for his Father's Day car show. And we interviewed the person that had the featured car. Well, each one of these stories had to do with something in their life. Fred's car that he has.
Fred Ross, yeah.
Fred Ross, the car that he has was the one that he had when he got married.
58 Chevy Impala, yep.
And those kind of stories, I mean, those are unbelievable. And when I think of the different cars I have, I don't even have pictures of some of those cars. These guys got the actual car. Another one is your female co-host there at the Father's Day car show.
Krista.
Well, no. Who does the announcing?
Oh, Laura Kabiko. Yeah, Kabiko, yeah.
Her car came about because it was her sister and their parents' car.
I think that's a 53 Pontiac Sky Chief.
And
four-door.
Her husband decided to restore it. They went to car show after car show, and unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago. So she still goes to the car shows with that car and her memories of being a child with her sister, riding around. So, you know, it's stories like that. I mean, that got me involved, and just the beauty of the cars. Remember Ralph Pollen? He was a radio engineer at WKBN, and long ago he said, "Rich, you gotta go. This place is east of South Bend, and it's the now I can't remember the name. The Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum." He showed me pictures and everything.
Yeah, he was really into it. Yeah.
Years and years before my wife and I were going to Notre Dame to check on our son, and so we took a side trip. And there's this museum is the old factory that made, oh boy, I can't remember now what the factory was. Maybe it made Duesenberg's. I'm not
Duesenberg's or the Cords, yeah.
Yeah.
And the place is huge. If you want to go there, you will not be disappointed. And I found that my wife was doing more reading than I was. She was going slower, looking because she had never seen some of these cars. These cars, the style is just overwhelming. Your mouth will be wide open.
Sexy. Those are sexy cars back then. Yeah.
In the Packard, that one year when they had at the Salem golf course there was before the pandemic. They had Packards meet there along with other cars, but the Packards were the ones. And my wife took a picture of me standing there, and there was this long line, looked like an endless line of convertible Packards.
Yeah.
And each one has maybe the radios in a different place, or it has a different hood ornament. I mean, it was just jaw-dropping. And that's what I love the beauty of it. You guys know how those things work. And of course, that's why I don't own one, because I don't have any. But you guys are the smart guys. You know how to keep them going.
Well, wait a minute. I gotta stop you there, Rich. Let's talk about Rick's Thunderbird.
Look at this. I couldn't even help him on that. The Thunderbird was a lost cause.
The squinting face, Rick.
It's going to be gone tonight. I'm selling it.
Yeah, well,
another guy's going to have it.
Somebody's
He's going to be in the Youngstown area. It's a beautiful car. It's a beauaful car. I called her the showgirl. Mm-hmm.
And that's
I'm not going to tell you what you started calling her later. And after all the repairs, there was another word, and we won't mention it on this show because maybe kids listen to this show.
Yeah,
so we don't want to say that.
It's all fixed now, and I have no money in my pocket. So,
Rich, you've been a long time air personality. Whether
I thought you'd say pain in your side. I didn't.
Well, we know that. We don't have to say that because all of that. Carl Slagle. We had him as a guest on this show as well, and you did a lot of work with Carl. How did you get started with that one?
Boy, that's a good question. And it's because they started those radio shows on 570 WKBN, the service shows, they called it. And the fellow that was the head of the sales department, and I can't think of his name, he's the one that came up with the idea. And he asked his sales staff to come up with people that could fill the need. So they were looking for, they had the friendly trapper,
Yep.
Nobody else had the friendly trapper. But they were looking for a guy that knew cars. And believe me, Carl Slagle was head over heels above anybody. And then I took that idea and put it on TV. Carl would come out week after week after week. He'd come out and he'd have this piece and he'd say, "You know what this is, Rich?" No. He'd end up spending, talking 5 minutes about that piece. And I learned something. Yeah. But he was incredible. He knows so much about cars. And he still has the hand grip that will break your hand.
Oh, yeah.
He can take an oil, the oil thing, screw it off with his hand instead of using the device that you use to get it off. And such a personality. There's a guy that was just a mechanic. And to put him on radio and TV and to have him have such a presence, a charisma, it's just one of those great people that
and he's still on WKBN AM.
Yes, he is. He is
that's Saturday morning
of all those shows.
Now, make sure
2 hours too.
As well as our podcast, make sure you tune in to 570 WKBN for Carl Slagle's show, and that's on Saturdays, isn't it?
Saturday, yeah.
Yes,
it starts at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I think. Yeah.
8 a.m. Saturday.
Is it 8 to 10? Is that what it is?
Thanks, Larry. Because Larry was also involved with for years and years with Two-Wheel Power Hour and selling and all sorts of stuff on 570. So we're all kind of meshed together here, and we've all driven each other nuts forever.
Speaking about how you guys really know how to keep these things running, Larry has a story about today, how he kept his motorcycle running so that he would be on the air on time for this podcast.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Larry, tell us.
We almost didn't get it.
The unfortunate thing is it wasn't my motorcycle. My wife says, "Why do you do that? Why do you work on your bike? Why?" And I said, "So I can go to Missouri and come back without hopefully any problems." But my other friend, I've never seen anything like it. They had a valve stem and the actual brass part of the stem it started losing air. Make a long story short, went to a buddy's place, yanked the wheel off. He had a Nomar tire changer, which helps an awful lot, and put a new stem in, but we didn't have a BMW stem. It's like a 15 millimeter stem with a 19 millimeter bottom that butts up to the inside of the rim. So we put a car one in, and it looks, when I cut it out to see what was wrong, it looked like when they put it in, they screwed a thing that through, and
I know what you're gonna say.
then we get down to it here. We're I don't know, 40 miles from Indianapolis, but 27 miles from the motorcycle, the BMW dealer. So I called them, and they're too busy to run out here. And I said, okay, but what if I put the tire on my bike and bring it to you? You put it in front. We need to get this guy off the road here. And so they did. And it was like $43, new valve stem. Took the tire off, make sure there was nothing because it's tubeless, and got it back on. But the unfortunate part of that is that's high risk and high reward. The traffic in going through Indianapolis is mirrored down sometimes from 4 lanes to 2 or 3 lanes to 1, and then you can't get through. You only have to go one little way to downtown, and that blocks out tons of traffic. It's got to take 465, the loop around, and it just when it's 93 degrees out and it's hotter than hell.
Yeah, we're having record-breaking heat, as Rich would tell us, as we're recording this podcast.
Hey.
So my gas light comes on. Now my buddy, he rides a lot of long distance. So he's got a 5-gallon optional aluminum custom tank on the back of the bike, so he can flip a valve, and he can usually do about 400 and some miles. Well, my light came on at about 200, so I figured I was probably good for another 20 miles. But we saw a nice area to pull over, so we pull into this big town, and I mean, there's 3 lanes going into town, 3 lanes coming out. I stop at the gas station, and every pump shut off. They have no power. There's no traffic lights, no power to the pumps, no power to the restaurants. I mean, nothing. And you talk about people trying to merge and do it on their own on 6 lanes. That's high risk, because you're liable to get punted, and nobody wants to be punted. So it's just been what I would consider to be a challenging day. But in the end, we made lemonade out of lemons. So I'm pretty happy about it.
I have to ask Norm a question real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's got to be one trip that sticks in your mind that it's like you were so happy to get to your destination because it was just nothing but trouble. What's that one trip, Norm?
Well,
Sounds like he's got many of them.
I took a 3-week trip through the Canadian Rockies in 1973 on a worn out 750 Moto Guzzi, and in Calgary, Alberta, we replaced a crankshaft seal and cylinder base gasket, and the rear tire. A friend of mine helped me put the tire on just before we left, and he used a screwdriver for a tire iron. So guess what happened?
Punctured it.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
we had flat tires. Probably had 4 or 5 flat tires on that trip, and then we had the cylinder wore out and the piston ring snagged, and we replaced a piston and cylinder in a city park in Billings, Montana. And then we aren't done yet. We were in Iowa when the distributor gear that drives the distributor shaft that has the points and the distributor thing on it, that gear wore out, and so we came to a stop, and I figured out what it was, and at the side of the road I stuck a washer underneath underneath where the bolt is where you adjust it, and that moved it up enough that it got back on some gear teeth, and I got another 150 miles before it completely quit. And by then I was at Davenport, Iowa, and a guy stopped to help me at the side of the highway, and he got me to a Moto Guzzi dealer that didn't have the part, but they had a bike in the shop that they were taking all apart. And so they put the distributor gear from that bike on mine, on my shaft. And then I took it back, got it on the bike, got it timed, got back on the road. And at about 1 a.m., just outside of Peoria, Illinois, on the interstate, the rear tire blew for the last time at about 70 miles an hour.
Oh, man.
And it buckled, and we crashed, and it split the rear wheel about 1/3 of the way around, right
Oh,
down the middle. And that's the only time on a trip that I didn't make it all the way home. And a friend of mine came, the remaining 250 miles with a trailer, and took my wife and I home. We got the bike off to the side of the road that night, and took our gear off and camped in a cornfield. And then I walked 10 miles into town
my
next morning to
10 miles
make a
walking.
phone call. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Top that, Larry.
Yeah.
Oh,
I call that my road repair marathon.
my
Yeah,
God.
really.
That's like an engine rebuild twice. And that's a motorcycle that gave everything it had to give just to get you in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Well, Rick, what about on Labor Day one year?
Oh, don't bring that one up.
I was in Hermitage and I'm running a 5K, which is great because that 5K runs downhill into Buell Farm Park. Well, Rick was supposed to come and pick me up to be in the parade that was supposed to go down the same route. He wasn't coming. So I'm walking back up the parade route. And Jackie Preston, who was a co-anchor on our morning show at that time, I see her struggling down the street on high heels.
That was my 87 Camaro.
Yeah, was that it? Okay.
Yeah, the alternator went out.
The parade. He got it to the parking lot. So that's your adventure there.
I never had any problems with that car with the alternator, and all of a sudden we're in a parade and it just dies on.
I'm glad I didn't have you in a parade with the T-Bird then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't put the T-Bird in there. It's hard to put old cars in parades. You know that. It's just they overheat too much.
Yeah, the heat gets them if they're not cooled. And
Yeah.
Have you ever driven with Greg doing an interview with him?
In a car?
Somebody did.
Yeah. Greg,
We did it in a plane.
we did a story about his Volkswagen that you
Uh-huh.
call, what is he, the Volkswagen that's in the movies?
Herbie the
Herbie.
Love Bug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Herbie. Yeah.
He has the love bug. And I said, okay, I'd like to interview you on that. And he agreed to do it. He didn't realize I wanted to do the interview with him in the car as we were driving up South Avenue. That sort of threw him.
Uh-huh.
But, South Avenue is straight north. So thankfully that
Yeah.
we had that on our side. And we arrived at the Butler Institute of American Art, where they also had a car show inside there. And that was
Yeah.
all tied into that. But he did a fine job driving and answering questions.
No, it's called multitasking, Rich. When you have to drive with both feet, both hands, and actually talk and chew gum at the same time.
Which is sort of like doing street scene with Rick. Is that what
Yeah, well,
you got that right.
That's like sometimes that's like hanging yourself.
It's a new adventure. It's a new adventure every episode. So,
Yeah.
but we do have a lot of fun doing street scene. I'll tell you, it's a lot of fun.
I have to say, you got to watch for the show, and it's get on me now. I'm going to be on vacation, but we just went down to the Victory Church in Cranberry, PA. We kind of stepped our bounds out, and we did a show, and it was I can't say how refreshing it was. We saw a whole world new of cars, and I will have that on as our next episode on Street Scene in probably the beginning of July, so it'll be edited then. But some of the cars, and Rick, I want to, I'll just say there was one there that Rick picked out. I'm not going to give what the name of the car was.
I'm smiling. I knew you were going to bring it up. I'm just smiling thinking of the car.
Might as well had a go-kart. That's how small this thing was. And it was the size of a go-kart.
I'm interviewing this guy, and I said, I can't get this smile off my face. It was just a little car, and it brought so much happiness to me. And we were talking about it, and it was pretty cool. You got to watch the show to see it.
And, you know, if you get a chance, go down to Cranberry. It's every Friday night at Victory Christian Church on Route 19 on Cranberry. And that's I've been hearing about that show for years. Never went down there, and boy, it's something to go see.
Well,
And
Rick
that's
was
every
nice enough to share pictures with me on Facebook. And I have to agree, there were cars that I have never seen in a show. Wasn't there a purple car that was, the rear end I couldn't believe how long it was. Maybe it's just that you took. But there are all these cars that I really, truly had not seen.
Yeah, I fell in love with one of them. So it was a 70. What was that? The 70 Barracuda?
Yeah,
Or
70. No, 70 CUDA.
70
CUDA convertible.
70 blue with white interior,
I'm
white convertible top.
I'm
Oh, I
shocked,
loved it.
Rick, because usually you're, I'm the muscle car guy. You're usually back, towards.
But
the
that
50s.
it was the 340 though, I think, right? It wasn't.
Have you driven a 340?
They
Let me
fast?
tell you something. I always say that's one of the best engines Mopar ever made. Those things scream. If you build them right, they are one of the best small block Mopars you could ever have.
It sure is pretty though. It sure was pretty.
Norm, I got one more question for you, and I'll hand you back over to Larry. I asked this of a lot of our guests. Dream bike for you. What is the one motorcycle that you could have, or that you want, that if you got the opportunity to get it? What is your dream motorcycle?
I've already got them.
That's it. I'm done.
I have a
Throw the mic
Yamaha
down.
FJR 1300. It's a 2016 model. It has the all LED lighting, electronic suspension, cruise control, 6-speed transmission. It's really a great long distance bike. And then for smaller back roads, shorter trips, and easy gravel roads, I've got a 2017 650 V-Strom. It's the XT model that has the spoked wheels and 19-inch front wheel for, suitable for mild off-road riding. So, those are my
What was that one called, Norm?
Suzuki V-Strom XT.
A V-Strom.
650.
Okay.
Yeah,
Suzuki,
V-Strom it's a 90-degree V-twin. The 2 cylinders each has double overhead cams, fuel injection, and all that stuff. It does not have cruise control, which is the one thing I miss about the FJR. Has got a very nice factory cruise, but the V-Strom, it weighs about 480 pounds, and you can throw it around. It's extremely reliable. Both of these bikes are very low maintenance, easy to take care of, and run a long time. An FJR with proper care will run 400,000 or 500,000 miles without an engine rebuild, just valve adjustments and oil and filters.
That's a long time for a motorcycle engine to run.
Yeah, well, both of them are liquid cooled. And I also have an old 2000 Suzuki DRZ 400 dual sport bike, and I bought it used. I've had it since 2006, and I'm kind of aging out of dual sport riding, so I don't ride it very often, and I don't need a new one.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard somebody that says, I've got everything I ever wanted as a dream vehicle.
But Norm's at that age right now. That's good, Norm. That's good.
Yep.
You can just sit back, relax, and enjoy it now.
Well, one of the things that people frequently ask me, they ask me about, the bikes I used to have, and don't you wish you had those now? And the thing that I tell them is, unfortunately, my memory's too good. I remember the things I liked about them, but I also remember all the reliability problems and constant adjustments and maintenance and so on. And I don't want to wrench any more than I need to. So I really appreciate these modern bikes.
Yeah, it reminds me, like people always say, boy, they don't make cars like they used to. And my reply is, I'm glad.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
You don't see them blowing water hoses and breaking fan belts on the side of the road half the
time. They're in a junkyard at 100,000 miles, rotted and everything. But
the sheet metal is a little thicker on the old cars, but the safety measures on the newer cars is way beyond that with the
Yep.
airbags and side airbag curtains and
they're so
all of
much
this.
more reliable and everything, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
so.
And the rust proofing is better on
Yeah.
those cars.
Yeah, and then motorcycles, I'm sure. Well, here's one I wanted to mention before is you mentioned your horror story of your ride, but a lot of that, think about 1973, you said, right?
Yeah.
Was think of the motor oils back then of how
Mm.
bad they were. No wonder everything wore out so quick.
Well, the 750 Guzzi did not have a cartridge oil filter.
So it was
No,
just
no,
It had a
basically
wire.
sump.
It had a wire screen.
Oh, that was
It
it.
wasn't a very fine wire screen either.
Uh-huh.
Rich, I got to tell you this one, and you won't believe it unless you've looked it up. What did they use when they had oil filters? When the oil filters were so bad back, they had an aftermarket part that you actually put a roll of toilet paper in.
Oh yeah.
The filter.
Get out.
Remember that? Rich,
Yes,
I'm
I
telling
remember
you.
those.
Rich,
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I don't
It was
remember
a
that.
roll. Look it up. And if you're out there in the audience and you want to know, look it up. They actually used a roll of toilet paper. It fit right in the cylinder and you top, and it worked great.
Now, wait, how many sheets?
There's the
Well,
whole
you
roll.
couldn't. You had to use a
Cottonelle.
Scott brand. It wasn't
Oh,
any.
Cottonelle. I like
You know,
Cottonelle.
yeah, Cottonelle was too cushy. You know, you like the stuff that really straight.
And how
I
often
never
did
heard.
you
I
change
never
it?
heard of that one. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the, like my wife said, it's useless knowledge. I remember, but
Yeah, but how often did you change it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe as much as you use the toilet. You know, I don't know.
Well,
Depending on the thickness of the
whenever
toilet.
your car takes a crap,
Yeah, I was gonna
you,
say
you
that.
know you
Right
should have
after-
changed it a little
Right
bit
after
sooner.
that cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh
And
my
your
God.
coffee apparently tastes like oil, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's called mud there. You know. Okay, we got way off subject on that one.
Yeah.
We could have a whole subject on that thing. But
Take her away, Larry.
good, Larry. You got questions for Norm? You got
Save the
questions for
show.
everybody?
Let's talk briefly about the Sport Touring Association Rendezvous, the MSTA Premier Annual Get Together. This thing is going to start out. Is it Sunday? Sunday begins the first day. It's
Officially the first day is Sunday, but a lot of the people, I would say at least half of the people arrive on Saturday.
How many people are you talking for that, Norm?
Well, this year, not so many. The most we ever had at our national rally was 504.
Mhm.
That was at Johnson City in 2011. And of course, like every other membership organization, our numbers have declined some over the years. As people age out and so on. You know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
We've been having 300 to 350. But this year, a lot of people anticipated the weather was going to be pretty hot. And so we had about 240, and now we're getting some cancellations due to the heat because it's going to be 103 degrees. I think on
That's
Wednesday.
not motorcycle weather. Not in my books anyway.
And the dew point is going to be 70 degrees,
Yeah.
which is
Oh.
very, very
Yikes.
muggy
Oh,
humidity.
I have to say, Missouri, I've been to Missouri probably 15 times in my, over my years. And that humidity is the worst. Do you think it's bad here?
Yeah.
Missouri is awful. I mean, you could just sit there and breathe in and get a mouthful of water. You don't need anything else. That is the worst humidity on earth.
Yeah, we had our star rally at Springdale, Arkansas about 5 or 6 years ago. And, I remember going out in the morning and the temperature was like 74 degrees and it was hot
Yeah.
because it was so humid.
Yeah. Rich, how about that, Rich? Humidus, the humidity level there,
Humidity is what takes me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what bothers me the most too. That's when I was doing the weather, I didn't even bother to give the combination of the temperature and the dew point.
Yeah.
Forget what the heat index.
Yeah.
Heat
I
index,
tell
yeah.
people it feels like 100 degrees when you know that if the dew point is 70 degrees, you're already sweating The temperature is actually 90 degrees. Do you need to tell people even more to make them feel even worse?
That was your job for how many years, Rich?
And then if you have allergies, you don't want to be out in this weather.
No.
Plus, the atmosphere is pretty stable, so there's an air quality index alert too. No, this is not the kind of weather you want to be outdoors. Although this morning by 9:30, I was out there cutting the grass because I wanted to be